Isaiah 2. Isaiah 2 belongs to a three-chapter unit. Chapters 2, 3, and 4 move together as a single argument about Zion, what it has become, what God intends to do with it, and what it will look like on the other side of judgment. This video covers Chapter 2. Chapters 3 and 4 follow in the next two videos. Chapter 2 opens with a vision. In the latter days, the mountain of the house of the Lord will be established as the highest of the mountains. Nations will stream to it. Many peoples will go and say, "Come, let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, to the house of the God of Jacob, that he may teach us his ways, and that we may walk in his paths. For the law will go out of Zion, and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. God will judge between the nations and decide concerning many peoples. Swords will become plowshares. Spears will become pruning hooks. Nation will not lift up sword against nation, and they will learn war no more." Isaiah 2 verses 2 through 4 also appears closely in Micah 4 verses 1 through 3. Isaiah and Micah share the same vision. Zion will become the place where God teaches the nations and brings peace. Verse 5 turns the vision into a call. "O house of Jacob, come, let us walk in the light of the Lord." Verse 6 explains why judgment is coming. The Lord has forsaken the house of Jacob. Judah has filled itself with things from the east, divination, fortune-telling, and foreign practices. Silver and gold fill the land. Horses and chariots fill the land. The people bow down to idols, the work of their own hands. Common people and great men are both brought low. Isaiah says, "Do not forgive them." Chapter 1 exposed Judah's corrupt worship and justice. Chapter 2 exposes Judah's false trust. Judah has surrounded itself with the things nations use for security: wealth, military power, foreign religion, and idols made by human hands. Isaiah spoke these words in the 8th century before Christ. Assyria was the rising superpower, pressing hard against Judah's borders. The kings in Jerusalem responded exactly as the prophet described. They imported Eastern religious practices, struck alliances with foreign powers, filled the land with silver and gold, horses and chariots, and trusted in the idols their own hands had made. What looked like prudent statecraft was, to the Lord, open rebellion. The very things they reached for to secure themselves became the evidence that they had forsaken him. Under King Ahaz, this forsaking became concrete. When Syria and Israel pressed Judah to join their revolt against Assyria, Ahaz refused, and instead sent tribute to the Assyrian king Tiglath-Pileser III. He imported a pagan altar from Damascus and set it in the temple of the Lord. Horses and chariots filled the royal stables. Silver and gold paid for foreign alliances rather than for the house of God. What looked like shrewd politics was, to Isaiah, the very idolatry the prophet condemned. Verse 10 gives the command, "Enter the rock and hide in the dust from the terror of the Lord and the splendor of his majesty." Similar commands appear again in verses 19 and 21. Isaiah is showing the same day from several angles. The day of the Lord comes against everything proud and lifted up. Isaiah names the great trees, the high mountains, the towers, the fortified walls, and the ships of Tarshish. The point is clear. Everything high in man's eyes is brought low. The Lord alone will be exalted on that day. Cedars and oaks suggest power and permanence. Towers and walls suggest military security. Ships of Tarshish suggest trade and wealth. Isaiah is naming the things a nation uses to tell itself it does not need God. Ships of Tarshish were the great trading vessels of the ancient world. Heavy cargo ships that sailed the Mediterranean as far as the western coast of Spain. Judah did not own such fleets, but through alliances with Phoenician cities and the wealth of its own merchants, the nation tasted the same international commerce and luxury. Isaiah names them to show that even the symbols of distant trade and economic power would crumble before the terror of the Lord. Verses 17 and 18 state the result. The haughtiness of man will be humbled, the lofty will be brought low, and the Lord alone will be exalted on that day. The idols will utterly pass away. Verses 19 and 21 repeat the command to hide in the caves and rocks. Men will throw away their silver and gold idols to the moles and bats. The things they worshipped will be abandoned when the terror of the Lord comes. Their idols cannot protect them. Verse 22 closes the chapter with a direct command. Stop trusting in man, whose breath is in his nostrils. What is he worth? After the mountains are humbled, the towers fall, and the idols are thrown away, Isaiah ends with the unreliability of man as a foundation for life and security. Chapter 2 holds vision and judgment together. God intends Zion to become the place where his word goes out to the nations. The day of the Lord strips away everything Judah has trusted in place of him. Judgment clears the ground for the Zion God promised. The New Testament picks up these themes directly. The word goes out from Jerusalem. The nations are brought near. The proud are brought low. These themes run through Acts and the letters. Isaiah 2 gives us part of the language and shape the New Testament writers are working with. That first-century fulfillment is striking. The day of the Lord that Isaiah described came upon the proud and lifted-up city in AD 70. Roman armies surrounded Jerusalem, the temple was destroyed, and everything Judah had trusted, its religious system, its leaders, its symbols of power, lay in ruins. The idols of self-reliance and national security were thrown away like silver and gold to the moles and the bats. Yet from that same Jerusalem the word of the Lord went out exactly as the vision promised. The gospel streamed to the nations. The law and the word of the Lord went forth from Zion, and peoples from every tongue began to say, "Come, let us walk in the light of the Lord." Even so, the full vision still waits. The nations have begun to stream, but wars have not yet ceased. The mountain of the Lord's house is being lifted up in the church across the earth, yet it is not yet the highest of the mountains in the sight of every people. The complete peace, swords beaten into plowshares, spears into pruning hooks, and the knowledge of the Lord covering the earth, awaits the day when the Lord returns, judges the nations finally, and establishes the Zion he has always intended. Isaiah 2 holds both realities together, judgment that has already cleared the ground, and the certain hope of the glory still to come. Isaiah often puts near judgment and final hope close together. The prophets do not write like modern timelines. They show God's purpose from more than one distance at once. In one view, Isaiah sees judgment coming on Judah and Jerusalem. In another view, he sees the nation streaming to Zion, swords beaten into plowshares, and the Lord alone exalted over the whole earth. In chapter 2, this telescoping is especially clear. The chapter opens with the ultimate future, Zion lifted up and the word going out to bring universal peace. Then it immediately pivots to the present crisis of Judah's idolatry and false trusts and the coming day of the Lord that will strip everything away. The partial preterist lens holds both realities without forcing one to cancel the other. The already happened in the 1st century when the proud city was humbled in AD 70. The temple system that had become an idol was dismantled, and from the rubble the gospel streamed to the nations exactly as the vision promised. The not yet remains in front of us. Wars have not ceased. The mountain is not yet visibly highest in the eyes of every people, and the complete peace awaits the final return of the Lord. Isaiah holds the two together in one breath, because the same God who judged Jerusalem in the 1st century is the God who will finish the work he started. Chapter 3 shows what this judgment looks like inside Jerusalem. Leaders removed, households shaken, and public life brought low. Chapter 4 follows with the purified remnant and the branch. Isaiah's argument begins in chapter 2 and carries through the end of chapter 4. We will take up Chapter 3 in the next video. Please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you know when the next chapter in this Isaiah study is released.